All right, so a lot of the work was just cleaning up all the solder joints, getting rid of the frayed wire in most places. Over here it was not as bad, so I just sort of left them as is, but redid all the solder connections on the output valve, cleaned up the speaker connection. This is one of the ones with the, I'm not sure why they did that, but the ground goes directly to the transformer chassis there, the strap over the top, and then it grounds to the chassis through the screw. So that's not great. I don't know why they've done it that way or why they used to do it that way. I think I've got a feeling that might have been a replacement transformer and they've copied what was there. But yeah, I don't know why they do that. You want the current delivered directly as close as possible to the connector for the speaker. But being a little, basically a student amp, this thing, only about 5 watts output. That's fine, it works. So again, we just got rid of all the cable greening over here and cleaned up these connections, put some backup diodes on there. But most importantly, we cleaned up the mains wiring. After giving it a quick test, the hum consideration didn't really come into play. It was very quiet, even with the volume all the way up. So we've come in, we've got the neutral connected directly to the transformer, and the active, which is the black, goes to the fuse tip. The fuse ring goes to the switch, and then the switch goes to the transformer. So that's ideal. The only step better than that is having a dual pole, dual throw switch where the active and the neutral are isolated when you turn the switch off. That's the best possible solution, but we've got to work with what we've got in this one. The ground connection down here, I've given it heaps of slack on the ground wire. So if for whatever reason that wire does get pulled out during operation, the last thing that will get ripped out of the amp is the ground connection, because the active and the neutral are only just long enough to be connected to what they're connected to, whereas the safety earth's got about another 6 inches of length on it. So as you saw, pretty much everything was in tolerance except for that cathode resistor. That's the sort of hottest resistor in the whole amp. That's the one that cops the most current. So now that'll be stable. It'll stay at 470 ohms unless something dramatic happens, but with the small energies inside this little amplifier, that cathode resistor will be good indefinitely. Now, I'm not a fan at all of the spray atom electrolytics because they're freaking huge, they're freaking expensive, and they've got very low temperature ratings usually. So I use Tube Amp Doctor. These two caps, the blue one and this one here, same value. In fact, this is 22 microfarad, you know, with tolerance, but this is a 105 degree rated cap. So if you crack one of them open, chances are you just find a smaller cap inside. I don't know why people think that bigger is better. It's not a fucking penis, it's a capacitor. So you can barely get down to the solder connections down there, but people seem to think the vintage aesthetics of using stuff about the same size as when the technology is advanced so much in terms of like lifespan, temperature rating, size, tolerance, consistency. The new caps are the way to go. Don't get me wrong, they're quality caps, but the price you pay for them is ridiculous. And you've got all those physical considerations, and then obviously the 65 degrees Celsius, which is, as previously mentioned, about as warm as a cup of tea, mate. Speaking of, time to boil a kettle, I think. Oh, and what would any amp repair be without a freshly polished knob, champions? Alright, so just doing a quick output test. Got a little adapter cable I made there with a female 1/4 inch there. I use that for like the vintage fenders with the RCA, like the Basement and the Champ. We're going into the dummy loads over there. Paralleled up to 8 ohms, making 4 ohm total. And we're measuring the output on the 2236, the Tektronix. It's got a built-in multimeter up there so I can read the RMS voltage, and we can look at the waveform. Got the Rigol DS-1054z, putting a 1 kilohertz sine wave at half a volt peak to peak into the input. Alright, just looking at the output, she starts to go a bit pear-shaped around 4 volts RMS into 4 ohms. So that's the easiest math ever. 4 squared divided by 4 equals 4, so it's putting out 4 watts clean. If we push that into some pretty funky overdrive, you're pushing around 4.8 volts RMS. So that comes up at about 5.8 watts when it's pushed extremely hard, but about 4 watts clean, which is about average in my experience. All right, so here's the back cover after we've bonded it. So I gave it, as discussed previously, a mix of Tight Bond 1 and water diluted to about 15% glue, 85% water. Brush that on in 2 goes just to really soak it in, and you can see it soaked it up like a sponge. It already had a bit of a sheen to it after that, but just to be sure, I put some undiluted glue on the surface once the original coats had dried off, and just brush that on as well to give it a bit of a skin, you know, like just to make sure none of those fibers are going to come loose. So that's pretty well inert now, unless you went drilling it or whatever, turn it back into dust. And now I'm going to shield the rest of them in the area of the chassis for shielding against noise and RFI, that kind of thing. So to do that, we've got a roll of this 0.5mm aluminium flashing, a couple of cuts, 1, 2, 3. That's usually enough. You can just bend it up, bend it a couple of times, and off she goes. Bit of double-sided tape. They call this carpet tape in some areas. Nice, I think it's 50mm wide. All right, we'll just peel off the backing. Could use contact glue for this too. I'd probably use that if I was doing one from scratch, but in this case, it's a bit messy. I'll just use this method. Just line everything up. It's not as critical as contact glue. You don't have to, you know, pray to the gods of joinery that you get everything lined up correctly, because you can peel it off and correct if required. Anyway, you get the idea.